Hello, hello, and welcome to Straight No Chaser with Dr. Julius Bailey. Sorry about that. I am Dr. Julius Bailey, and the show is live from the chilly but beautiful campus of Wittenberg University here in Springfield, Ohio. Those of you who are here Monday, I'm still kind of on a high from Michael Flager, who spoke to our souls really as engaged citizens and justice warriors. If you haven't seen that, if you didn't get a chance to see that, although I think as of today, maybe about 3,000 of you have, so thank you. But if you haven't seen it, please go back and watch it. If this is your first time here to Straight No Chaser, boy, I tell you, you are in for a treat today. But if it is your first time, I am Julius Bailey. I'm a professor of philosophy and African American studies here at Wittenberg. I direct our pre-law program and our justice law and public policy programs. As some of you know, I am the author of 5 academic books and 1 memoir. My current book, Racism, Hypocrisy, and Bad Faith, a moral challenge to the America that I love, just recently, just 2 weeks ago, won a Reader's Choice Bronze Medal. I'm a second time award-winning author. It makes me feel real good. And so obviously, if you're interested in any of my books, and you don't have them, you know how to reach them either at broadviewpress.com for the last 2 books, or you can hit me up at www.juliusbailey.com, and you can order a signed copy of my work, right? You order it there, you can learn all about me, you can learn about the works, and certainly please support, right? I'm gonna be honest with you, when this show first started back in the early summer, y'all was ordering books every day. I was at the library all the time. I was at the post office almost every day. I ain't been to the post office, y'all, in a week. I need y'all to buy a book. Y'all tripping, right? Now, second of all, you have to remember, please like this, share it, here at Straight No Chaser. We're here on Facebook as well as on YouTube. So listen, you all know that everything that I'm about, especially during this season, is about uplifting and sort of upholding the banner for excellence, for elegance. And when I tell you that today's first guest is a manifestation of all of that, I am so excited. So we're just going to get into it right now. Our first guest, Miss Kayelin Tiggs, received her bachelor's degree from Wright State University here in the great state of Ohio, where she discovered her passion for both science and women's empowerment. She is a scientist, a scholar, an advocate for all type of issues. She is currently a graduate student at the University of Cincinnati, pursuing a master's degree, watch this now, in applied psychology. We ain't talking about sociology, no diss on the sociologist. We ain't talking about, French, no diss to the French folk. We're talking applied psychology. Look, some of y'all like applied what? Applied psychology, right? And so Straight No Chaser, please help us to welcome to our show, to our family, our current, right, Miss Ohio for America, Queen Kayelin Tiggs. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. Thanks for having me, Dr. Bailey.
Oh, man, we're just pleased and grateful to have a queen in our midst. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I didn't raise my level up, as Sierra says.
Oh, no.
Got your crown going.
Listen, it's my favorite accessory right now.
Right.
So
when did you win the crown?
July 11th, so a little over 2 months now.
Wow. So you've been Miss Ohio for America for 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
That's phenomenal. So look, y'all see now I know right now, I can't tell, but I know right now folk forwarding and sharing and saying Dr. Bailey got a queen on his show. A real queen, not a fake queen, not Queen Latifah, not Queen we got Queen Kayelin Tiggs. We are so excited to have you today. So let's just kind of get to know you a little bit. You are a contractor, right? With some medical research, right? You also, and even when you were at Wright State as an undergrad, you worked in human neuroscience, right? And that's deep, right? And visual cognition, right? Shout out to all my psychologists and all my doctors and stuff like that. But you worked in neuroscience and applied psychology at Wright State as a research assistant, right? But tell me about what got you interested in applied psychology and science in that sense.
So I've always loved science, right? I've always loved psychology. So psychology is the study of human behavior. And I've always been interested in why people do what they do. But the neuroscience piece comes in because I don't want to just learn about, the external factors that cause people to do what they do. I want to learn about the neurological and those biological factors, right? That kind of nature versus nurture argument. And so I'm going to school to learn about how to apply this knowledge, as well as looking at the biological components of human behavior. And that's just something that I'm interested in. We have so many people walking around with different perspectives and different ideologies. And I just want to know what influences all of those things.
Right. No, I mean, that's phenomenal. And so you're in a grad program now at Cincinnati. And what is the actual program that you're in?
It's a Master's of Applied Psychology.
Okay. And what is your long-term interest as it relates to that? Do you want to be a sort of a clinical psychologist? Do you want to work for the FBI and be one of those CSI folk? Like, what do you want to do?
Right. So I actually want to get my PhD in clinical neuropsychology.
Hold up.
Yes.
Rewind. Hold on. A PhD in clinical neuropsychology. Ladies and gentlemen. And that's, as my granddaddy say, that PhD is a Dr. Flossie. Ain't no post-hole digger. That ain't no player hater degree. That's the highest degree in the land. And you want to do it in neuropsychology. Wow. I mean, what is your inspiration for that?
I want to look at the traumatized brain. So I want to study traumatic brain injury. And being that my dad is a veteran, right? So working with veterans or possibly even getting into sports. I just, like I said, love to study the factors that influence human behavior. And I think the traumatized brain is so interesting. And so I'm looking forward to going to learn about what influences brain chemistry and how that manifests itself in human behavior.
Well, I might be your first test subject.
Get in line, right? Because everyone says that.
I got a traumatized brain. Anytime you do the kind of work that I do, and you take the hits that I take, and you do the kind of work that I've done for, 30-something years, you can't be nothing but crazy, So it may be something that you could learn from me, But no, that's phenomenal. And so, you are very, very much sort of concerned about the representation of women in various aspects of leadership, right? And so obviously, and I can't think of her name, I wish I remember, but we just heard there was a PhD in physics that just received, it was a young Black sister that just received her PhD in physics, I believe in Florida somewhere.
Okay.
And I have to look their name up. If you look that up, or if somebody on the chat, look that up for me. I think she went to undergrad at Florida A&M, and then now she just got her PhD in physics. Look that up for me and put that name in the chat for me if you don't mind. But yeah, so you're always about representing Black women in excellence with elegance, right? And obviously your work does that. And so science is one aspect of it, right? But also, you are concerned about, the various ways in which sort of we're represented, right? And you believe, right? I know one of the things we talked about is you believe that in some senses, we aren't getting the most of our representation, right? As Black women, right? You believe that we can do more, we should do more. We are doing great things, right? Well, you all are, sorry. But you're doing great things, but you can do more. And it reminds me I currently had a woman on our show who's running for state senate. Well, actually, she's already a state senator. I mean, a state representative in Erica Crawley. And Erica Crawley told this story about her Aunt Marvel and how when her Aunt Marvel, right before she passed away, her Aunt Marvel, they were talking about who's going to be the next leader, right?
Mm-hmm.
And her Aunt Marvel told her, hey, why not you?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that mantra, why not me,
Mm-hmm.
is something that is important to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why not you as a queen? Why not you as a neuroscientist? Why not you as a mentor? Tell us a little bit about, so you had to use her term, but why not me, and why why having conversations with young Black women, especially, but with women in general, is important to you?
Okay, well, we see the contributions that women are making every single day to their communities. And for women to be so underrepresented in so many of these leadership positions is really just alarming. Seeing how much women contribute, right? And so, like you said, so many girls, especially young girls, have this mindset of who else is going to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to lead me? And so I have been working with girls in changing their perspective of how they see themselves, how they see their leadership ability, how they see their capabilities and their ability to make change. And so I think that's something that's super, super important to instill, is that if you see something that needs to be changed, don't wait and for somebody else to step up and make that difference. If you're noticing it, if it's coming to your attention, that's something within you, right, that is saying this isn't right. And we need to begin giving girls the confidence to step up and be the leaders in that change and to advocate for those things that they're seeing. But that's something that has to be instilled because the media and the world will tell young girls you don't have a place here. And so it's up to people like me who have had to struggle through that and realize that, hey, I do have a place and I do have a purpose, to take that knowledge, pass it down to other generations, and really instill in them that they already are equipped with the capabilities and the skills and the mentality to go out and make that difference.
Right. You are already equipped. You're already equipped. It's just about being a part of people who are going to sort of water your seed, if you will. Right.
Important part of mentorship. So that's kind of why I'm working on building up my mentorship program, is because really it takes a group of people, it takes a village to really instill these in young girls.
Yeah, no. I mean, and for me, like, I know wonderful women across America who do outstanding work with mentoring women. I mean, I think of my girl Monique, who for like 20 years have had her organization Code Pink, right? If you watch it, Monique, shout out to you. And my sister Melverta Wilkins in Decatur, Illinois, with her Sister Girls and Friends, right? I support her. I support that organization. My Howard University sister, Miss Kelly Fair in Chicago, she and her Polished Pebbles organization is doing wonderful work. And I thank you, sister. I thank you for being such an ambassador for Howard, but also an ambassador for Chicago and the South Side. Shout out to what you're doing. And obviously national organizations, I'm sure you know about, Kayelin, in organizations like Black Girls Rock, right? Black Girls Who Code, my academic sister Jackie Glass at Princeton, and her At the Whale conferences, right? Those organizations are important. Here, we got some sisters, our Sister Brown, I love her, who is providing young girls a space to be, right? And to become, as you say, right? They already have it, right? Now we have to find spaces to become. And so all that is so fundamental in our society, right? And so it is a tough fight, though. And as you just mentioned earlier about media pressures, about societal pressures, it's certainly a tough fight. And social media, right, can be both a gift and a curse, right, for youth development. But as you just mentioned, you as Miss Ohio for America are not only representing young girls and representing what young girls will become, right? But then you're also taking what you've learned in your life, reinstilling it to remind them that all that they already are is what you can be.
Exactly.
So we have an interesting video that I want the audience to take a look at. And engineer, can you kind of show this video? But let's just get back to the interview a little bit. You know, I certainly know that you believe wholeheartedly in civic participation, right? And so, what do you have anything to tell any young ladies who are watching, or any people around here about voting, or about the importance of being active civically?
Oh, yes. So, I mean, voting is one of the amazing tools we have living in a democracy, right? It's one of the tools that we can use and exercise to make our voices heard. So again, it comes down to the things you're passionate about. You have to realize that you have a voice, you have an opinion, and it's valid. And one of the ways you can make that heard is by going out and voting, and not just right at the national level, but you can vote at the local level. So if you're seeing things that you don't like within your community, it's going to be very important for you to go out and vote for the people that you believe are fighting for you. And this is just something that I don't think a lot of young people realize, or it's not something that's instilled in them, right? Like the importance of doing your part as a member of the community in which you want to see better, see improved. You don't have to wait for someone else to come and save your community. Take a stance and get out there and begin educating other people on the things that you know. And one of those things is voting.
Voting. Right. I mean, wait a minute now. You said you got a PhD in neuroscience.
I'm going to get a PhD.
You're looking for. I know you're looking
PhD
for.
In
I know you're looking for it, but I'm thinking you might need to be a senator or the president or something.
So I hear this all the time, right? But listen, science and advocacy, they go hand in hand.
You better work that.
They do. Right. So being a neuropsychologist would mean that I'm in a position to treat people about their minds and body and educate them. And this is going to translate into the way that they move into society. So understanding human behavior takes research, which means I have to be on the community and know who I'm serving and adjust my practice as a doctor, right? As a brain doctor, and understand the different types of people, the different cultures, the different orientations, different backgrounds that I'm teaching. So that requires me to have a certain level of knowledge about who I'm being involved with.
No question.
So if I'm not an advocate, right, then how am I going to understand the types of people that I'm going to be working with? I can't just blindly be treating people without realizing some of the hurdles that they need. I can't say, here, go and do this to better your mind or to improve your health without understanding what their barriers are and their experiences are. And so me being in this master's program right now, there's a community emphasis so that I can understand how research methods, right, play a role in creating good science, and in turn will create good quality healthcare and treatment.
Man, look, I got more than I thought I was going to get out of this. So wait a minute. So let me just kind of wrap this up, and then I want to ask you another question. And then I know you all are enjoying this. We are on Straight No Chaser right now with Dr. Julius Bailey. We have our queen, our Miss Ohio for America, Miss Kayelin Tiggs, who is here today, just breaking it down. Like I'm gonna tell you, if you just missed what she just said, you need to quote that hashtag that say that science and leadership, or science and politics, work hand in hand. And it reminds me, right, of the understanding that our democracy is sick. right? That our country is sick. Some of the minds of our leadership is even sick. And Queen Kayelin said, listen, for in her process, she's trying to understand how the mind operates, because a sick mind, right, needs to be adjusted and fixed and worked on so that these minds can be healthy, and healthy minds create healthy relationships, and healthy relationships create healthy communities, and healthy communities create healthy states. And you got me fired up. Kayelin Tiggs for president, right? I got to think, right? I'm fired up, man. I am just fired up. And it is just remarkable just to have you here. So I know you talked about mentorship. You talked about women empowerment. I know you and I talked about a program that you are working on as sort of the core of your platform as Miss Ohio for America. And that's around getting especially men involved in a conversation around women empowerment, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, so when we say we, I truly mean we. This is not just a woman's fight for women. We also need men involved in this, right? So we have to help men to realize that there is no threat in women becoming leaders. And I think that just comes with addressing some of these traditional gender roles and some of these ideologies we have surrounding the woman's role in society. And so I think talking to men and trying to understand their perspective and where they get some of these mentalities from can help us really begin to address some of the hurdles and things that prevent or thwart women's leadership. So it's not just women fighting for women, it's people fighting for people. People fighting for people. Women are human beings, right? And if they're capable of doing the job, then there should be no threat in them holding a certain position. And so we have to get everyone involved in this conversation.
And so what areas, I know we have been talking about politics, business. What are the various areas that you really want some brothers, some very astute, very engaged men to help you to have this type of conversation so that the we can really be an inclusive and all sort of a non-binary we, right, as we engage in the conversation? What other areas or professions of society are you interested in having this conversation about?
Well, I want to say that there is no topic that doesn't include women or where women are not affected. So if we're talking about social justice, right, and with the police killings and the fight to end police brutality, there are sisters and mothers who are affected by this, right? Mothers are losing their sons, grandmothers are losing their grandsons, and mothers are losing the fathers of their children, causing, single mothers, which is also destructive to the Black family, right? And we know what happens when the Black family is broken up. The statistics show, how it can affect children and affect the income of that household. When we're talking about healthcare, specifically in Ohio, right, we have infant mortality rate being so much higher amongst the Black women. And if they're not receiving the quality care that they need, we see the devastation that causes. If Black babies are dying and the mental health consequences of that on women, right? So there's no area in which women are not affected, specifically and especially minority women.
Right.
If you look at education, right, we have Black women being one of the most educated groups in the country, right? But yet they're still not equally represented in some of these leadership roles. So there's women with these amazing degrees but aren't in these positions to use them and make a difference. So there's so many different areas, right? And then we can talk about some of the obvious ones: equal work for equal pay,
No question.
Assuring that women have complete autonomy over their bodies, and women having a seat at the table, and not just a seat at the table, but also being able to make decisions at the highest level about that.
So speaking of equal pay for equal work, do you support like a Major League Soccer and women's basketball, who's really trying to say, listen, we're not going to play if y'all not going to give us equal pay for equal work, right?
And this is where I think the men come in. I think men should step in and say, hey, the women's basketball league is just as valid and just as important. And that's where that we comes in. If we develop a we mentality, we realize that it's not just an us versus them talking about a division between two groups. It's about people fighting for the rights of people. And so we have to understand why that's so threatening and where that threat comes in and begin to address that. So I think we focus on unifying people and understanding why we're doing what we're doing and understanding the benefits of women's leadership and the benefits of gender equality. We can begin to kind of level out this playing field and fill in some of these gaps.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I think you have a point. I mean, one, I think if you're watching hashtag, that is not just us versus them, right? It's a we thing, and we needs to be understood. Because a nation that grows together, right? And especially in our community, we can do a whole nother show, and we might ask you back if you don't mind, right?
Okay.
Because I don't have a co-host, so I might ask you back, throw on your tiara and your sash, and be like, "It's the queen and the king, baby." You know what I'm saying? But one thing that is so important to me is that this sort of intergender conversation takes hold without acrimony, right? Without fighting, right? But it's so much hurt in our communities, right? There's so much that, and quite frankly, racism and white supremacy and other forms of sort of bigotry has sort of invaded our spaces, right? To the extent that, oftentimes we're fighting each other, right? Like, I'm mad at my boss, I'm mad at the world, and I come out and I take it out on you, and you like, yo, bro, what I got to do with your boss? You know what I'm saying? And then now I'm denying your humanity. I'm engaged in some type of misogynistic activity, maybe even violence against you because the weight of the world is on me, and I have no other way. I don't seek mental health. I don't switch. I know it's something else important to you, right. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, that, and then so we're struggling on that level. And then the sisters are saying, "Listen, brothers, we've been holding you down, right? We've been fighting on your behalf. We've been here for your families. We've been here for you." And we don't need you to be down in us in public. We don't need to be down in us in private, right? We need you to elevate us the way we elevate you, right? That's the way you come at it. But then sometimes, sometimes it comes off in different ways, right? I mean, you've probably heard this, you got, some women out here calling all men trash, and I'm just like, detritus, like trash, like I may make a bad decision. But then now brothers who are already self-conscious, like, sisters think I'm trash anyway. So this is why I think your role as someone who's not just, obviously you're uplifting women, no question, but you also want to make sure that men are involved in the process. Because again, back to what she said, y'all, it's a we thing and not an I thing, right?
It's a community thing, a community effort. And I just want to emphasize that it's nobody's individual job, but it is all of our individual responsibility to make sure that we are using our positions, our knowledge, our skill set to help someone else where they may be lacking. And I think that unification of community is really what this world is missing. We have this individualistic viewpoint, right? If you look at other cultures, my family is Nigerian, right? And my Nana tells me all the time, she's like, it's nothing like over here. That they have a collectivist point of view where the children live in the household until they go off and get married, right? Like they watch out for each other. And I think in the US, we need to come back to that. We need to come back to that family units, that community driven effort towards making change. And not just pointing the finger at this group or that group, but becoming a we all want to live better. We all have these commonalities. We all want good health care and want to live in nice houses and have a livable wage and a decent standard of living. We all want these things, but the argument is about how we're going to get there. And this is why I think even with my work in science, understanding these different perspectives and how the biological component and external factors come together to create these mindsets is going to be important when advocating for some of these things. So I plan on, as a scientist, working in policy, right? Healthcare policy and scientific policy, but I need to know my audience and what they need. Right. So that's going to require me to be out in the community. It's a we effort. I can't just go out and make some policies for what I think people need without getting their input. And I think that's where women's leadership comes in, right? We need women at the table to give their inputs, as well as in all of these different areas where we're talking about making change. It's a we effort. It's a community effort.
All right, y'all. It's a we thing. Y'all heard it. With our Miss Ohio for America, Miss Kayelin Tiggs. She has been a wonderful first guest. And do you have to go? You don't have to go, do you?
Oh, no, I can stay.
You can stay for a minute?
I can stay.
Hey, I got me a co-host, y'all. Watch out. Now, I ain't got no money now. I can't pay you. I can't. Ain't no co-host fees around here. I don't know if you got IMBD SAG rate, but I ain't got it. But yeah, well, cool. Well, have a seat with us and just stay with us for a minute. My brother Stephen, she's gonna stay with us as we move into our next guest. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we have been listening to our queen, a phenomenal woman who certainly just inspired me to understand that who we are and what we are can't be an individual thing. It has to be a we thing, whether we're talking about in life in general or especially as it relates to our communities, right? It's a very important thing. And so she tied in science and politics and science and the health of a community. And so we know, Straight No Chaser, that we are, 48 days away till the next current occupant. Hopefully we are 48 days away to the national election, right? And this national election, we should be convinced by now that our current occupant is some type of narcissistic gangster that should not be in office. This is me speaking. This ain't the Queen speaking. This ain't our next guest speaking. This is Dr. Julius Bailey. Y'all know how to find me. I ain't scared of you. I have a conversation about anything, anywhere, anyhow. But the bottom line is we are 48 days away, and we have to be involved in voting. We have to be involved in understanding what it is to come next January that we can make a change in our nation, a change that will affect the future of COVID-19, a change that will certainly be involved in healthcare in general and providing more expanded access to healthcare. We will, this next election, who you choose at a national level, will sort of speak to a priority of science-based leadership that assists us in our now and in our future, especially when it comes to climate change, right? I mean, come on now. So, but as you prepare, obviously, to vote for president, we cannot forget that down the ballot in your state, there may be a governor. Shout out to my girl, Jennifer Foy in Virginia. Senators, right? My brother Jamie Harrison in South Carolina. Do it, brother. We support you. I sent you some money yesterday, bro. So I need you to wear it, right? Obviously, we have some House of Representative folk who are still making a change at the national level here in Ohio, right? We have Ms. Desiree Timms. We're excited about her. We're going to get her in there. We're going to turn Ohio blue and bring her into D.C. We have judges and clerks and state offices all across the country. So wherever you're looking, wherever you're watching this show at today, recognize that you have to be involved, right? Wherever you are, voter registration is coming to an end, right? So if you haven't registered to vote, please register now today. I think here in Ohio, you have till October 5th. Then obviously we start early voting, right? In states, as well as mail-in voting. So please take advantage of that, right? I have already in my planner that I will be voting on Friday, October 9th, right? It's already in my schedule. And so however you do it, whenever you do it, y'all, let's just do it. Speaking of voting and speaking of state elections, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Straight No Chaser. Our next guest, Mrs. Leronda Jackson. She is a businesswoman, a civically involved sister. She is a candidate for the 40th Congressional District of the state of Ohio. Hello, future Representative Jackson. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning. How are you?
Well, first of all, I see them glasses. What you doing for the people today? You
Well,
clown. What you doing?
I was just trying to represent.
I know, right? I know that's right. You was not gonna be outdone by the tiara and the sash. I see what's going on. Y'all supporting each other, but y'all like, hold on, sis. I got the rep too, right? I know that's right. I know that's right. Well, thank you for coming on the show, and thank you for all that you are and all that you do. We know that you have been an owner and proprietor of an insurance agency. Tell us about your life as a businesswoman and your life in the community.
Okay, great. Thank you. And thank you for this opportunity. I started LFL Insurance 19 years ago. I was working at MetLife in customer service, taking phone calls, didn't have a degree. So it's kind of tough to get promoted at that time. So I decided I would go into sales, didn't like it, went to do something else. And then internet took over Yellow Pages. So I said, well, what do I know how to do? And I said, well, I know how to sell insurance. So I went back and got my license a second time. And I decided to start my own agency. Didn't have a clue how hard it would be. If I had known, I probably would not have done it. Because it's kind of like Peter when he walked on water.
Uh-oh.
You're going to still walk, but don't look
I
to
know
the
that's
left.
right.
Don't look to the right. So it's been real challenging. But, you know, when you give up everything, you have to make it work. So it had to work. And so that's how I started. I started real lean. I started as an independent agent. So I didn't have a company behind me that everybody loved. It wasn't like a State Farm agency where you could just hang the name on the shingle. The name on the shingle was my name. So I built it one client at a time, one prayer at a time. And that's why I'm always trying to encourage others. If you want to start a business, do it. I will teach you what I've learned along the way so you don't have to make the same mistakes. That's been my journey. So I never set out to be an entrepreneur. My dad, he was sort of an entrepreneur. He wanted to be a carpenter. And at that time, they weren't allowing Blacks into the Carpenters Union.
Okay.
So even though he had fought in World War II, went to Iwo Jima as a Marine, he came back home and still had those same issues. So he started working on people's houses basically for free to get his apprenticeship hours. So he finally fought them until he was in that union. So I think that's where I kind of got my drive and my fire from. So that's who I am. I literally just graduated from Sinclair. I've always valued education, always valued people who finished the course. So I had gone and dropped out. My mother had a stroke in 2003. So I had gone and stopped a couple times. So this time I said, you know what? I'm finishing. Now, this was before I decided to run for office. So I didn't know I was going to be doing schoolwork, campaign work, and working in my business. But God's grace brought me through. So I literally just graduated 2020. They sent it in the mail since COVID. But it was okay. It was a good experience. I'm happy about this journey I'm on.
Wow. Well, shout out to perseverance. Shout out to stick-to-itiveness, to recognizing that that the race isn't given to the swift nor the strong, right? But the one who endures, right? And so you are a wonderful representation of endurance, of recognizing that when you see an opportunity, it's not about looking around trying to figure out who's going to do it. You stand up and say, "It is I, Lord," you know. And so we thank you for that. So let me again, this is talk shop just one more time. Like what kind of insurance do you sell there at your agency?
We sell every kind. So we have auto, home, motorcycle, renters. Those are considered property and casualty lines. We do commercial insurance. So if you're an electrician, we'll write your general liability. If you pull a permit bond because somebody wants you to rewire their house, we'll sell you the bond. We do special events, not much of that right now, but we do special event insurance. So after the jazz festival, after the big concerts, and you have an event somewhere, they make you get insurance. We do those. We do life insurance. That's a passion, that's just a passion of mine that people get life insurance.
No question.
We do the Medicare, so open enrollment is next month. So those people who are 65 and older, they are waiting on open enrollment. So we also do that. So we literally do everything.
And it's interesting, right? Because people of color, we know how important insurance is, right? But sometimes we just, man, I can't afford to pay that premium, and I need that $20, I need that $50, blah, blah, blah. So I have two questions for you. One is, what would you say to the audience who themselves who are just not sure about insurance? I mean, some of our artists don't even pay renters insurance, and sometimes that's even like $5-10. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And stuff like that. But what do you say about audience about the importance of insurance? Obviously, but then secondly, if you can remember these two real quick, and I'll remind you. But just a very kind of quick, 30-second kind of distinction. Oftentimes, we still don't understand the difference between term life and home life and whole life. Can you just help the audience understand? Listen, I want a life insurance policy. I want to die with my house paid for, with my car paid for. With what's the difference between getting a term policy, a whole policy, and then what would you say to especially people of color about the crucial understanding of all these insurances?
Okay, so let me start with that. So insurance is something you have to get when you don't need it. Because if you get it when you need it, you can't get it. So when people call me, I got to get some life insurance tomorrow, I know they done been to the doctor. Right. Or something's up. Or I need some car insurance today. They ain't had none in 3 years. So they probably got a ticket this morning. So you have to get it before you need it. And it's critical. And we aren't always taught that. And sometimes we are, but we weren't paying attention because, we know everything. And then term and whole life, I equate term as it's temporary. It's like renting. It's like I live in an apartment. I pay $700 a month. I know I'm not getting any equity. And I know every year I'm going to renew that lease. And at any time it's over. That's the same way with term. You buy a 20-year term policy. 20 years in a day, it's over. Don't get mad. Don't act like somebody pulled the carpet out from underneath you. You knew when you went in that the policy was going to end. The problem with it is it's cheap, but it's usually outlived. Insurance companies make more off of us as clients when we buy term because the likelihood of us dying young is not real high, morbidity, but it can happen at any time. So when you buy term, you just got to know what you signed up for. It's like leasing a car. You knew you were only keeping that car for 36 months. Right. So that's all you get.
Right.
And, I do sell term. I do own some term. The biggest thing is not all term is created equal. So get a term that you can convert, meaning you bought the term because it was cheap. Now you're a little older. Now you're carrying a few extra pounds. Now you might have had a diagnosis of something, and then you have a little more money. Kids are gone, so you have the money, but your term ends, and now you're uninsurable. Get a term that you get to convert to whole life at the same health and height and weight you were back in the day when you took out that policy.
I know that's right.
And not everybody offers that.
Now that's important information. I just want to throw it out there. I know this when we were here to talk about, but I just was important because our audience certainly just needs to be educated at every level.
We need to stop relying on just the insurance at work.
Right. That's true.
Because if you leave, whether you leave by sickness, you get laid off, or you retire,
it's gone.
99% of the policies, they're done. Yeah. So when people call me at 65, I want to get $50,000 for $24, and I'm like, that's not gonna happen.
Right.
I'm laughing now, but it's really not funny.
Right.
It's not.
Yes. So speaking of that, just last year, obviously, you, especially your area, the Trotwood area, we as a nation were gripped by the tornado that ran through that area and just devastated so many homes and businesses and neighborhoods, right? In what ways were your insurance agency involved? And you personally, as a citizen, as a leader, how did you kind of step up? And what kind of ways were you able to help families and businesses during that period?
So I live in Inglewood. So I was about 5 minutes from where the tornado touched down in Trotwood, and we could hear it. We went to the basement and all of that. So I knew that next day is getting ready to be, let's all hands on deck. So I listened to my voicemail at the office, and I had messages that started around 2 a.m. So I posted on Facebook that I would open the office at 7 instead of at 9 to get claims started.
Mm-hmm.
But then that wasn't good enough. So I decided to get in my car and drive to Trotwood. The roads, it was trees down, it was wires down. You had to drive up on curbs and sidewalks to get through. It looked like a war zone. So I pulled my car over and I decided to walk once you couldn't drive any further. And I knew where my clients lived. So I was just walking to get to them. And I'm really glad I did that, because when I saw the devastation physically with the trees and homes and cars, but then I saw the devastation and sadness on my clients' faces, and literally a couple of them, their faces lit up when I got to them. Right. It was kind of like my agent. And so I stayed in the field every single day. I went live every day to talk to people who weren't my clients, to say, this is how you get in a hotel. This is what your insurance company had better do. This is how you say it. Do you want me to call them for you? Because I knew people didn't know. And so I was able to help not only my clients, but maybe their next door neighbor. Sure. And so I feel as though you can pay insurance every month, all year. It's all paper, and it doesn't mean anything until the rubber meets the road, until you need them to write those checks. And so one of the companies I write is Erie. We have a checkbook, meaning we can write you a check, get you in a hotel tonight. You don't have to wait. One company was, call us back in 48 hours. Well, no, my house is down. Where am I going to sleep tonight? So having a checkbook makes it easier. We could take care of clients instantly. And I had a great time showing my value as an agent.
Wow. I mean, just the story you just said, that you know, phone calls come at 2 a.m. You know, you could have easily let it go. You said, look, I'll be in the office at 9, but you said, I'm gonna come at 7, and then you sat there and said, I can't, they can't wait till 7. I can't wait. They can't wait. And then you said, even on your way, so many obstacles, trees and lines, and you couldn't even drive. And you just said, I'm just gonna get out my car and walk to my people. I mean, that is why people that I know and love you. That is why people that I support totally support you for your state rep run, because they know that when the obstacles are in the way, some other folk, they turn and go home. Some other folk, they wait until maybe their ship comes in. They wait till the dust settles. But you have proven that you're just going to walk through the rubble for them. You're going to help them through thick and thin. And that is why I don't live in your district, but I personally support your run for the 40th legislative district of the state of Ohio. And so I want you to give us maybe 3 to 4 minutes, right, of sort of why you decided. I mean, we know why you're qualified, but I just need to know why you decided to run. And then the second question is, I know I can answer this myself, but maybe you, if you're comfortable, what distinguishes you from Phil Plummer?
Okay. So I decided to run. I just need to help. I'm a server. I'm a helper. Let me just do it for you. Let me just get in here. Let me make the call for you. Or when you make this call, I need you to say it like this so you can cut to the chase. That's why I love your straight no chaser, because I use that a lot. But so I felt like in the community, I was already advocating for certain issues, begging people to register to vote. Let's update your address. Let's connect the dots. So if you don't like how the police are doing this, let's look at the chief. Let's call the chief. Let's show up and talk to the chief. And then if the chief don't get it right, well, you know who appointed the chief? The mayor. So let's go get this mayor. Let's do this. So I believe that if people can connect the dots, they will follow. The issue is sometimes we don't know what our vote means, or we don't really know how to impact change. And so I found myself doing that more and more. And so then it was kind of like, girl, you should run for office. So I started thinking about it and praying about it. And was I willing to put my all out here, have myself scrubbed up and down? And I don't live a life that I'm concerned about that at all. But, you give up a lot and you make a sacrifice. Right. So I had prayed probably 2 years before deciding. And the deciding factor came to me last year in May. I think it was May 25th. The Ku Klux Klan was having a rally downtown Dayton.
Mm-hmm.
And I was praying because we had the Black Panthers or the new Black Panther movement. They was like, no, you ain't coming over here and starting this. And then we had like a peace rally and wrapped around, we had the Klan in the center of downtown. And it was really unsettling to me. And I didn't want anyone to be hurt. And as I was praying for that day, when I got up, that's when the Lord said, it's time for you to run.
Wow.
So I reached out to the Democratic Party. I told Mark Owens, I called, I said, I want to see you next week. I went out to see him. The tornado hit. I still made it out there. And I told him I wanted to run. And he said, well, what do you want to run for? It wasn't this particular seat. So I said, if you get somebody more qualified that has a political background, I don't have a politics background.
Right.
But if you get somebody more qualified, I'll step aside and take one for the team. So then I spoke with someone from the Legislative Black Caucus. They came, groomed me, and said, we need you to run for the 40th seat. And I said, okay, against who? He said, Phil Plummer. I cracked up because I literally had probably thrown him under the bus on Facebook a million times.
I bet.
About different situations and how do you not perform stellar and then run for a position even more great.
Even high, right.
I don't get that. So I helped the young lady who ran against him. She was not successful. And now I'm running against him with all I have. Right. And I feel like I'm the better, I'm well suited and the better candidate because first of all, I have a passion for people, right. Whether their skin looks like mine or not. I'm not a person of choosing like that. I also know that people want a personal touch. People want to know that you fought for them, even if you don't win. And I tell my clients that you wreck your car, the insurance company gives you $6,000 and you swear up and down you should have $8,000. Well, I'm going to fight that fight with you. I'm going to talk to your adjuster. We're going to provide documentation. At the end of the day, we might not win. But every one of my clients knows, well, at least she fought for me. When we hang up the phone, they're not like, I wonder if she even care. No, because I've shown them. And that's what voters need. Do you really care? What would make you vote like that on that bill? Were you thinking about me? So I've interviewed people. I've talked to them. Do you know who your state rep is? Most of them say no. And then the few that do know, I say, have you heard from them? A newsletter, town hall meeting, any kind of communication? No. So that's why I know I'm a better fit because at the end of the day, you live in Ohio. People should not have to go on ohiolegislative.gov and say, well, what they working on?
What are they doing? Right.
No, it's your job to tell me.
Right.
Because I paid you to go there. So public service means public service. It doesn't mean I'm the superstar and you should be fanning me and working for me. You're the public servant. Go work for the public.
Cool. No, that's ooh. I'm gonna wrap up with that, but I'm gonna say something about that at the end here. But I don't know if you know our Miss Ohio for America, our co-host today. I pulled her in as a co-host. She was our first guest, but she showed up in studio. Okay. So this is Miss Kayelin Tiggs.
Hello. Hi, Miss Jackson. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
First off, I want to say congratulations on your run. Just the fact that you have the courage to do such a thing is amazing in itself.
Yeah,
and this is like what I'm championing. I can't even say it. I'm championing for women to go out and, like I said before, if they see something that they want to be changed, to be the person to step up and go and do it. So I just wanted to congratulate you on that. Okay. And also, there's a record number of women running for just office this year in general, which makes me so proud. And so I just have a couple of questions.
Okay.
Right. And I would love to just get your perspective. So my platform focuses on women's leadership development. Okay. And so I was wondering, what's it like being a minority woman in such an influential leadership position?
Okay. Well, let me start off by saying congratulations to you. And you look
Thank
beautiful.
you.
As far as leadership, the only leadership that I see that I'm in currently is at my office, in my business. I try to lead in the community, and you got to walk the talk. Talk is cheap. And so you have to literally be mad and not go off. You have to want to respond with something not nice, but watch your mouth. And so running for this position, it has humbled me. I built my company, my son call it, in the mud. And so with running this campaign, it's kind of like, what are we going, you're doing all this, you're asking for so much, and I'm not used to that. So, I just think that as women, we carry a heavy load. I believe that we do a lot of work. I believe that we sacrifice in our families. I know me personally, I'm the first one to say, okay, I'll do it. Or what's that sound? Okay, I'll go see. Or, your kid is sick. Okay, well, I'll take off work. And so we tend to do the heavy lifting. So if I'm going to do some heavy lifting, it's going to be at that table when they write like kids carrying guns to school. No.
Do you feel like you have the support that you need to carry this through?
I do. I feel like I have a lot of support. Most of my friends in my closer circle, this is all new to them too. So when I say, can you send me a check? They like, a check. And I'm like, well, it's not really mine. It's my campaign. I got to buy a lot of stuff. And so, that's been new for all of us.
Right.
And COVID has made you campaign totally different. But I couldn't let that stop me, because we still have the same issues in Columbus. We still have public school funding getting cut. We still have legislators wanting to bring stand your ground.
Right.
The day that I testified, there was literally a room full of people who opposed it. People from Franklin County courts. You had judges, you had magistrates, you had prosecutors, you had all these people giving them reasons why this is not good law. And they still were like, okay, next. And I said, well, you remember Trayvon Martin? I took a million examples, and it's going to negatively impact African Americans because we get shot first, and then we expected to answer some questions later. And so it didn't matter. And when something like that doesn't matter, it's time for them to go. I just need people to vote. They're going to have to help me volunteer to get my name out here and get my message out here. And we got to show up at the polls.
Well, thank you so much for that. You're absolutely right, by the way. My last question is, what advice could you give me, like people in a position who are trying to influence other women and to get into leadership position? What advice could you give me when I'm talking to girls and talking to women and they're hesitant to go out and make these kind of changes or make these big decisions?
Well, sometimes we're scared, or sometimes we don't have confidence and courage. Confidence comes from knowledge. And so give them the knowledge that they need. Teach them that they're good enough. Let them hear other people do certain things, and let them see other people do certain things. And then they'll say, oh, I could have done that. Always make sure that we know that we're enough and that we bring enough to the table. And I would say to you, always be authentic. I try to be as authentic as I can be. And when people know that you're real, they buy into that. Tell your mistakes, tell how you stayed up all night because you didn't do your homework, go all the way in. When you go all the way in, people will go with you. And always remember your why. So I remember worrying if a check was going to clear. I remember late notices on rent. And if you don't pay this rent in 5 days, you're going to get an eviction notice. I remember that. So that's why now when people are late with insurance, I don't condemn them and dog them out. And that's why I'm going to be a good legislator, because I've been there and I get it. And I know what the struggle is. So as you lead young women, tell them, I know your struggles. I've been there and I did the same thing. But let me tell you, this is what can happen if you don't choose wisely. You'll be a great leader, girl. You got
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Thank you so much.
For sure. So we have to kind of wrap it up here. If people wanted to join your campaign in these last 48 days, I'll help you with some lit drops. I want to send you a check or something like that, or just tag their friends in your area. How can they reach you?
They can reach my cell 937-416-5617. I wasn't giving it out at first, but people calling me about auto warranties all day. So obviously it don't matter. So they can call my cell. They can go to my website. It's voteLerondaJackson.com. My email is there. You can yell at me through there. You can get at me through there. And then they can learn about my campaign and who I am.
Okay. Well, you know what? Thank you so much for coming out today. And on behalf of my new co-host today,
Okay, Nicole.
we thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you for the invitation.
Take care.
Take
Thank
care,
you.
Miss
Bye-bye.
Jackson.
Thank you.
Wow. So, look, I'm just going to put this out there. Again, I'm not speaking on behalf of Miss Ohio for America, Miss Kayelin Tiggs. I'm not speaking on behalf of Leronda Jackson. I'm speaking on behalf of Julius Bailey. And y'all know me. I bring it to you straight, no chaser. Y'all know me. I operate from the heart. And I just have one thing to say. If you're in that Inglewood, Trotwood area, a little bit of Clayton, I think she represents as well. You really need to take a second look at your current representative in Phil Plummer. You need to ask yourself, even if I don't vote, you need to ask yourself, if I don't vote, what is likely the thing to happen? And the likely thing to happen is that Sheriff Phil Plummer, current Representative Phil Plummer, is likely to take a second term. And frankly, I don't even see how y'all voted me in 2 years ago, because y'all knew 2 years ago that he was an ineffective sheriff. Y'all knew 2 years ago that he let black folk and white folk die at the county prison in record numbers. Y'all knew that, but somehow y'all let him win. It's probably not that you voted for him, but you didn't vote for his opposition. And you allowed his crew, the crew that has proven they don't give a damn about black lives, has proven they don't give a damn about brown lives, has proven they don't give a damn about poor lives. You've let his crew vote him in. November 3rd, you have the ability in that area to vote him out and put in Leronda Jackson. Put in someone who has proven to you that she would walk through rubble for you, that she would be in the front ground for you, that she ain't here for no accolades. She ain't here for another notch on her belt when the first belt didn't fit in the first damn place. Phil Plummer did not deserve to be in that position. And right now, he doesn't deserve to be in there after November 3rd. Vote him out. You still got to October 5th to register to vote. If you're in Trotwood, Clayton, Inglewood, listen, I don't care if you never voted before. Vote. Register today. Vote today. Vote for Leronda Jackson. Get him out. He's dangerous. And a lot of these county sheriffs are dangerous. I ain't got time right now, but last night I was arguing with our county sheriff last night who's running for re-election. I'm not here to do that right now. I'll do the next show. But she was on last night talking about we need more cops in schools and we need to expand from the county to the city and more cops. And and our children love the cops and the cops. And I know they don't. Not our kids. And then she's going to say, well, how else are we going to be able to build more police officers if we don't have them in the schools? That 7th grade, 8th grade is not your incubator for the police station. We need to stop that. And all you cop lovers, I'm not against the cop, but I am against cops in schools, period. Get me some counselors, get me some social workers, get me some nurses, get the cops' ass out of the classes. That's Julius Bailey. That's not Kayelin Tiggs. That's not Leronda Jackson. That's not even Wittenberg. Wittenberg love cops. That's not them. This is me. Listen, straight no chaser. That's Julius Bailey. I'm mad now. Y'all made me mad. Even though I had 2 wonderful guests today, and you now you say it on TV now. You gonna come back in October?
I'll be back.
I'm shaking her hand. The queen is gonna come back. Thank you so much. And how can people reach you?
Oh my gosh, just send me an email.
Send me an email. Okay, we got your email address.
Yes,
we'll put your email address in the chat. Thank you so much, Straight No Chaser. Sorry we're a little bit over time. Have a phenomenal day. Next week we'll be back. On Monday, we actually have a tape show, but it's an important show to have. I'll be doing a live sort of a watch party, so make sure you watch in. And next Wednesday, I just locked it up right before the show. We gonna have a show that's gonna deal with P Valley. Y'all know P Valley on Stars. Don't be laughing. We're gonna have a show on Black sexuality. We're gonna have a show on the ways in which and the various ways in which Black people love, and the ways in which we as a community needs to understand what's going on in our world today. So listen, thank you for coming out on behalf of my guest co-host today, our queen, our Miss Ohio for America, Miss Kayelin Tiggs. On behalf of her, or we thank you for coming to Straight No Chaser today. God bless you. We out.